check this out. There's this massive port in the middle of the desert. No coastline, just mountains, grassland, and this gigantic facility. The nearest sea or ocean is over 1,000 miles away. And here's the crazy part. 25 years ago, it didn't exist. So I went to find out why it's there.
That's it. This is Khorgos Gateway on the border of China and Kazakhstan.
Last year, it processed over 350,000 containers from China. So why would China pour billions into this port? The answer comes down to two things, one tiny and one massive. I got rare access to the site, spoke to the people running the operations to find out for myself the real forces shaping this port in the middle of nowhere.
Khorgos Gateway,
connecting the east
and west.
Why is this port booming now? Something far away has made this port impossible for China to ignore. I was born 3 years after Kazakhstan's independence from the Soviet Union. And well, things really didn't change overnight. I mean, look at my birth certificate. But the transformation of the country was evident everywhere.
The city saw all sorts of foreign goods, from European clothing brands to Chinese appliances, and eventually franchises like Starbucks. The kids in this part of town are now wearing Zara and H&M. And international trade is a big reason why. It's 6 a.m. and we're just leaving the city to drive to Khorgos, the border of Kazakhstan and China. It's about a 4-hour drive and we're gonna take our Chinese electric vehicle to do that.
To get to Khorgos, we had to drive east, alongside the beautiful Tian Shan Mountains and into the steppe, where there's nothing for miles. It was kind of hard to believe that in just a few hours we'll be at a massive port.
I wanna open the top. Oh. That is the wrong button. So the road we're taking from Almaty to Khorgos is pretty much the same road that once made up the famous Silk Road.
The Silk Road was a vast trading network of land and sea routes that lasted for 1,600 years. It connected east to west, and it started in the 2nd century BC. We call it the Silk Road because it's how the Roman Empire got its silk. And it's the way that Marco Polo ended up in China. But the lasting influence of the Silk Road goes way beyond that. It's how Buddhism spread from India into China and Japan, Christianity reached the East, and Islam traveled westward. It's how Baghdad, founded in the 8th century as the Abbasid capital, exploded into a city of more than 1 million people within a couple of centuries, fueled in part by the trade and knowledge flowing through these routes. And it wasn't only goods that traveled. The very stars you see at night are called Aldebaran or Vega or Betelgeuse or Deneb because of the star charts carried along the Silk Road. Over its life of 1.5 millennia, the Silk Road shaped the lives of humans who traversed it in a way that changed how billions of us would later think, eat, and even believe in our deepest prayers. It all happened on this road I was driving down today. Then we started to approach China, which was kind of eerie. Skyscrapers and lots of buildings and not a free plot of land. A big contrast to the nothingness that we saw in Kazakhstan driving up to the border. Remember just 25 years ago, this place looked like this. China's side developed very fast. And then I started seeing shipping containers and cranes.
And it's the biggest not just because of its size, though it is pretty massive, spanning 130 hectares, but due to the complexity of the logistics that happen here.
This place is the way that China sends massive freight trains to get its goods through Kazakhstan onwards to places like Uzbekistan, Turkey, Germany, and much of Western Europe. And remember at the beginning, I told you there's a small reason why this port is here? More on that in a second.
Hey Dynamos, it's Dynamo CEO Nick Carlson, and I'm in a suit because it's time to talk business. Today's episode is sponsored by Bland AI. They solve the problem that makes you shout representative or #0 when you're on the phone with a company. Bland is the enterprise solution for businesses to implement AI phone calls. Bland AI can help your business delight your customers over the phone and save you time. They work with small businesses and large enterprises, and they're backed by serious investors. They answer about 2 million calls per week, and you've probably already spoken to their AI voice and had a positive experience doing it. You can give Bland a call right now to check out what they're building, or you can check out the link in the video's description to learn more. Thanks, Bland AI, for sponsoring this episode. Now let's get back to the show.
A train from China is arriving right now. This train has been entering this platform for, I swear, at least 5 minutes.
Last year, this place processed enough goods to fit in almost 350,000 containers. Just one of those containers fits tens of thousands of smartphones. But we're about to see the main thing that this port is known for.
This is pretty cool. This is the crane that does the actual transfer of the cargo from one platform to another. And this is where the main action happens.
Cranes carry containers directly from one train on a platform arriving from China onto another train on an adjacent platform that will continue through Kazakhstan, moving about a container per minute. This direct transfer is pretty cool to watch, like Lego blocks being stacked. This switchover is the key reason that this port is here. But the actual reason for the switchover is tiny. Look at this track. This is what a track looks like in China. China uses what is known as standard gauge, and most of the world also uses this. The tracks are 1,435 millimeters apart, or 56.5 inches. But Kazakhstan and most of the former Soviet Union uses what is known as Russian gauge, which is 1,520 millimeters apart, or almost 60 inches. So containers need to be switched onto another train on another platform to continue their journey west. That difference of just about 3.5 inches is responsible for all that has to happen to get a train to go anywhere west of China. That technical fix explains why Khorgos exists, but it doesn't explain why its growth is exploded in 2025. In Q1 of 2025, Khorgos saw a record-breaking surge in rail traffic, marking a 28.5% increase compared to the same period in 2024. For that answer, we need to take a step back. For 1,000 years, the Silk Road pulsed with caravans. So what could finally unmake it? This guy. In 1498, Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese navigator from Lisbon, rounded Africa's Cape of Good Hope and reached India by sea. He sailed on the back of decades of innovation. The caravel and carrack, ships big enough to hold hundreds of tons across oceans. And new tools like the astrolabe and better maps that made open water navigation possible. From then on, a single ship could carry as much cargo as thousands of camels at a fraction of the cost. Spices and porcelain flowed through the Cape route to Lisbon and Antwerp. Suddenly, Central Asia was no longer the middle of the world. But the fall wasn't just about ships. Fragmented states, higher tolls, and even the Black Death drove costs up. Over time, the great caravans dwindled into regional trade. The Silk Road didn't die in a single blow. It frayed over centuries, undone by politics, plague, and finally outcompeted by ships. But today, centuries later, a new Silk Road has returned. Not with camels, but with steel rails and freight trains, carrying the goods of a new global age. It was back in 2013 that Chinese President Xi Jinping announced the plans for a new Silk Road, or otherwise known as the Belt and Road Initiative.
China's relations with Central Asian countries face a golden opportunity.
It's hard to understate just how big this project is. $1 trillion investment to spread Chinese infrastructure and influence across the planet. A maritime gateway in Greece, a bridge in Iran, rail lines in Kenya and Laos. And a big part of this plan is connecting a lot of the Eurasian landmass by train to get Chinese goods anywhere west of China. It's more expensive items that get shipped through this land route, which is called the Middle Corridor. It costs more because these trains carry a lot less than a massive boat, which takes longer but is cheaper.
Sometimes it can be something as urgent as 17 ATMs that are required in France, which one expert told me is something that happened.
China had its sight on this location for years, and Kazakhstan saw benefit in it too. Kazakhstan spent an estimated $200 million to build Khorgos, largely from the national railway operator, who built the port in 2015 and sold almost half of it to China. But now China needs this route more than ever because its usual trading routes keep getting disrupted. For one thing, Kazakhstan is a good way to bypass Russia.
It allows China to avoid the northern corridor, which, to say the least, has become less reliable in the past few years. The Russian railway is sanctioned.
Then consider what's been happening in the seas.
China's primary routes to Europe flow through the Suez Canal and Red Sea. And, well, that's been, shall we say, turbulent lately.
So on a practical level, China gets to spread its industries and its soft power all across the globe using the middle corridor. After all, that's a lot of what it hopes to achieve through the Belt and Road. I mean, look how it celebrated its 5-year anniversary by doing this take on the famous Coca-Cola ad.
I like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony.
All of those smiling faces excited for Chinese investment. But with China's money comes China's influence. And for Kazakhstan, that's not an unfamiliar story, when the interest of foreign neighbors could dictate its fate. Every deal has strings attached, and that has some people concerned.
But for many, hitching themselves to China's plans is worth it. Especially now when having several friends in the region is smart, and when working with the world's second largest economy is an opportunity.
So what is the amazing thing of Khorgos? Before it's nothing there, absolutely no infrastructure, like only agriculture. But now it's a good chance for using them, be the part of the new Silk Road.
And the port itself isn't purely profitable yet. It relies on subsidies from China.
But Kazakhstan isn't just concerned with money. This route gives Kazakh businesses the chance to be a part of these global trade and value chains if they take advantage.
And that's what this railroad is doing. It's reducing the costs of international trade for landlocked countries.
And if we zoom out, transport routes reshape the countries they go through.
Over the last 5 years, the trade for Central Asian countries has increased by 50%.
It's an inspiring promise in a world where trade is increasingly being used as a negotiating tool.
History has already shown us what trade routes can do. They build cities, spread ideas, and then, with a single new path, left entire regions behind. And now, as China lays down its own modern Silk Road, places along the old routes are feeling the echoes. Which brings us here, a town I stumbled upon on the drive back from Khorgos. So we're in the town of Jarkent, which was one of the key nodes of the Silk Road. And one of the most historic signs of that is this mosque in front of us. It's a mosque built in a Chinese pagoda style. I mean, look at it, it's incredible. Jarkent was a place that ultimately became a hub for trade because of the old Silk Road. And right now it's feeling the effects of Khorgos.
I've seen a lot of my country change once it started to trade beyond its Soviet neighbors. It has undoubtedly brought it economic growth. Now, how that growth was and will be used is a different question, but it is undoubtedly a catalyst for progress. And it helps Kazakhstan diversify its ties, keeping itself close to Russia, China, and the West simultaneously. For millennia, trade has broken down barriers, brought civilizations closer, and grew entire cities. Perhaps this port and this train line can do it again.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode. If you liked it, you're going to like our new show, Real Big Machines. It's about the biggest, most powerful machines on the planet, the businesses behind them, and the people who love them. Check it out at the link below.